I was just like geared to go hard.
Geared to go hard.
I had all this momentum with my like energy or something, and I was like, what's the craziest thing I can do?
You mentioned that you became obsessed with the idea of joining a cult. Can you explain what fascinated you about that kind of intense community, specifically regarding the 12 tribes?
The 12 Tribes presents itself as a harmless church, living in communes, singing, dancing.
I think like the life that they had was so romantic in my mind. I just like wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to wear those clothes and do those things and have a job within that social structure and like be part of that unit. And I think was really drawn to kind of how much groups like that piss off your average Australian person. I'm not going to join the workforce. I'm going to go join a cult. My name's Isabel. I'm 31 years old. I enjoy walking and making pots, and I like hot showers.
Hot as in girl hot or guy hot? Because you know how guys jump in like a normal shower with just lukewarm water and they think it's like really hot.
I guess girl hot.
And you're girl hot too.
Hey, I'm Isabel and I'm girl hot. This is my studio. This is my kiln.
Do you have a story behind like the decoration outside? What animal was that?
It's kangaroo, I think.
Oh, a kangaroo?
Yeah.
Are you serious? That?
We just found it on a walk one day. I think it's kangaroo. It's got all the back grinding teeth.
Hey Jackie! This is Jackie, the rooster, apparently. Does he know his name?
No. That's Lily. And then that's Boy. And
Lily?
that's Destiny. We used to have a boy called Bandit, and he just got too violent. So we'd go in there and he'd like run at us and try to ram us with his horns. Boy's horns, because they go back, he's a bit less intimidating, but Bandits were like...
Why is there a speed sign over there?
I don't know. My little cousin helped us build this. It's like shit tons of pallets stuck together, and he wanted to put that there. Lily comes up and like put her head through there, and then her food goes on there.
So this is again the traditional way of milking a goat.
Maybe.
And do you see any parallels between the life that you currently live here with the life you used to live back in the 12 tribes?
Yeah. Like, I think that's why I liked living there, was because there was so many ways about the lifestyle there that seemed so healthy to me, to do with like food and community and waking up and having purpose is quite important. We had goats in the community, and I just thought it was the best thing. We had like teams to go and milk them morning and night, and children were learning to take care of animals. I thought that was pretty awesome. There was like children everywhere, which is really nice.
You don't get that in the city. You don't really get to see kids unless you have them yourself.
Yeah, you like forget they exist sometimes.
Yeah, the future of the world.
Do you want to see the garden?
Yeah, let's go. So this is the garden?
Yeah, we just put a bunch of seedlings in, so
this is what a capsicum looks like.
Here's one.
Oh, there's a carton of eggs. Look, that's a capsicum.
Sea nettle.
Yeah.
Good for tea.
Oh yeah.
It's high in iron. Good for ladies. Jackie's still managing to get in there.
Oh yeah, because why is he the only one roaming free?
Because he won't stay in there. Well, the other chickens are like a pack, whereas Jackie goes in there and they try to like kill him, so he just flies out. Every night he sleeps on top of the closer.
Poor Jackie, you have no friends.
Apple trees.
So this is an apple tree.
Yeah, but we had one.
Okay, play Charlie XCX apple. Have you seen the dance?
I've never heard of that song.
You never heard of that song? Oh my god. Okay, this is where the comment section's gonna blow up, okay?
They don't produce fruit unless that you've got two. So we planted another one just next to it.
So you've got the female and the male tree kind of thing?
Some plants have genders, but I think apples are just like, you just gotta have two. They
Just
can
two.
be like female or male, or maybe they're both.
You can have a lesbian couple or a gay couple for an apple tree.
Yeah, or a, is it androgynous?
Non-binary, basically.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
You can have a non-binary couple of apple trees.
Childhood. Actually, before that.
Wombhood.
Do you think there were instances in your childhood that foreshadowed the unconventional choices that you've made throughout your life?
My childhood was great. My parents were really loving parents. I've got 4 siblings, so I'm the oldest of 5. Mum's parents, her dad was a bishop, so all their lifestyle was very like regal. You go over to the house and they'd have like the blue room and the red room.
Sounds like it's out of a 70s art film, that's all I can say.
That's what going to the house was totally like. Yeah, there was lots of like religious memorabilia. They didn't come across as religious at all, really. Just quite like dignified and like from almost like another world. But then you'd go into Papa's office and there's like a giant crucifix near the window. Lots of mysterious kind of objects and stuff. Dad's family, they were Catholic. Lots of Catholic memorabilia actually. They slept in separate beds, and Grandma had a picture of Mother Mary above her bed, and then Grandfather had a picture of Jesus. Very happy childhood. And then high school was a bit weird. I went to a selective school. Everyone was hella smart. I think I felt pretty inadequate intellectually, so just like tried to be like a badass, just like experienced a lot of stuff probably like way too soon. And then by the time I was like 17, I was like, I want to get out of this place.
What did you experience that you thought that you had experienced too soon? Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, like drugs and alcohol and just breaking that connection with my parents, I guess. And so I guess I just like kind of cut those ties pretty early.
This is a day in the life of Isabel.
Washing all my crystal glasses.
Your beautiful Swarovski crystal glasses.
This is how I live.
This is how she lives. In utter luxury. Plane dragging on the tail of a sports car. Who made it?
I think they just ended up there.
Definitely sounds like you've experienced a lot before you were even 18, right? There was a lot of, adult things that you were exposed to. And do you think that's the reason why you decided to go traveling by yourself? Because you mentioned previously that you saved up a lot of money from working a part-time job and then just took off after high school. Can you describe what that period of your life was like?
I was just like geared to go hard.
Geared to go hard.
I think I was just kind of, I had all this momentum with my like energy or something, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go and book some ticket to go like everywhere in the world, and what's the craziest thing I can do. First few months I went to America, and that was like, yeah, this is a good time. And I did that. It was like this website called Couchsurfing.
Yeah, I know that website.
Yeah, is it still going?
I think so. It's definitely an app now.
Oh, okay. I went to like Costa Rica, Panama, and Nicaragua. Once I hit like Central America, because everyone speaks Spanish, not a huge amount of people speak English.
Yeah.
So I started to feel like quite isolated, because I was quite an exuberant kind of young person, like thrived on conversation and stuff. And when all that connection felt like it wasn't there anymore, got a bit like depressed, I guess. then yeah, I was walking past this I went to this island in Nicaragua that my friend had said I should go to because there was some American yoga retreat thing there.
Okay.
And so I was headed towards this because I was I don't know what else to do. And then I walked past this church with all these Nicaraguans just having the best time, dancing and singing, and the church was painted bright turquoise.
Wow.
And so I was that looks good. So I walked in and then met this family. Yeah, I met an older guy who translated everything the preacher was saying. And then he introduced me at the end to his cousins. And then ended up living with them in their it wasn't a pig shed, but it was their pigs were here, and it's
That's basically a pig shed though.
yeah.
The pigs lived in a shed, that's it.
Well, the pigs didn't go in there. I think they kept their motorbike in there or something.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't have any pigs in there while you were there.
No pigs within the shed at the time.
Great.
But that was pretty nice because I felt like I was part of. They really welcomed me into their family without any program couch surfing or anything. I think they just felt sorry for me.
Why do you think they felt sorry for you if you were having so much fun though?
Well, they kept asking me, and most people that lived in that village would ask me straight up, don't you miss your family? Why aren't you with your family? The more people asked me, the more I was thinking about it. And then I was the more I kind of saw how close families were and stuff, and communities. We'd walk around town, and there was the lady out on her deck with her sewing machine. Everyone was outside during the day, so when you'd walk through the streets, people would just be oh, hey. No one's inside their house while it's daylight, because then you're not exposed to those interactions.
They're very social people.
Yeah, super social. And so, yeah, anyways, then my dad ended up coming over because he was working in America for a week. So he came for a couple of days to visit me. And then I was just bawling my eyes out when I saw him.
Oh.
So then I just canned the rest of my trip. I was gonna go to Europe. Got one of those UK working visas.
And you mentioned that despite having little material wealth, the people you lived with seemed happier than those in the West. What do you think contributed to that happiness?
I think a lot of it has to do with daily routines are pretty repetitive. You wake up and there's the things that you do in your day which you kind of know you're gonna do every day. That's your expectations. A good example probably is the family I was living with had a bean farm. The island was 2 volcanoes stuck together with the lake around it. The bean farm was up one of the volcanoes halfway or something. So one day we went up there to do the harvest, and they'd all season had been tending to a bean crop, and then they were all dried, and all these local men came up. They all had sticks, and they helped bash all the beans onto a tarp, and it was there were so many people there, and the grandma had made lunch for everyone, and they'd brought up huge thermoses of tea and stuff. They were so organized.
Mate?
I think it was black coffee.
Okay. I was gonna say that was the beginning of the mate obsession.
The mate thing started in the community.
In the 12 tribes?
Yeah. It was just such a hustling operation. They had, I don't know whose oxes they were, but these 2 oxen with pole of wood between their antlers. And there was a guy leading the oxen, and they were pulling the cart with everyone had loaded up all the beans into bags and put them on the cart, and it's just suddenly all these people came out of the woodwork, and it's they do that every year, and they know what to expect. Yeah, I was just blown away. I was this is incredible. because people are like just helping each other. It's kind of understood that generally like everyone needs help.
You felt a sense of isolation. Can you talk a bit about that period in your life? What was it like to return home after such a transformative experience? What happened to all your old friends? Did they just like stop talking to you after you came back?
I was kind of, I don't know if I wasn't reaching out to them or if I was and I was just like very intense, or maybe I was just self-conscious. But yeah, I ended up not really reconnecting with like any of my friends because of the headspace I was in. Maybe I was like isolating myself or something.
And you said you initially spent some time living in a self-sustaining community in Mullumbimby. So after you got back to Australia, you initially experimented with living, was it in Mullumbimby?
Well, I only went and looked for that Mullumbimby community because I'd met the 12 Tribes group at Woodford Folk Festival. I was studying primary school teaching at uni at the time. In my uni holidays, I'd go stay at the 12 Tribes. Started to like really get drawn into it, like started to really connect with the people there. So then I told my parents that I was gonna move in there and they like freaked out because it's like a cult. And so then they were like, can't you go find another group that has like the same sort of ethical code that you're drawn to but without the religious aspect? So yeah, I found this permaculture group in Mullumbimby that was like, looked pretty good, and it was like a whole kind of valley that had been dug out to, like the whole land mass was designed through permaculture principles. It was like a bunch of different families living there in their own yurts, and they had like a communal meal space and like pantry. And then after a little while of being there, I was like, a lot of these people don't seem to really like each other that much. Because I just kept thinking about the 12 Tribes. Then I ended up getting a ride from Mullumbimby to Picton to the 12 Tribes farm. And then I was like so relieved to be back there. And so then I was like, I think I just got to join this group despite what my parents say.
Think of them, yeah. Like specifically regarding the 12 Tribes, what was the origin, you think, of your initial like fascination?
Just generally like how the life that they had was to me was so romantic in my mind. Like I just like wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to wear those clothes and do those things and have a job within that social structure and like be part of that unit.
And when you first joined the cult, what were you hoping to find, you think, and what did you actually find?
In normal life in the world, it's very self-directed. You kind of wait to get drawn to something, and then sometimes you develop preoccupations with parts of nature or mechanics or art or accounting, or you find a path within this like social structure. But I kind of liked about the cult, everyone was kind of in on the same thing together. So you'd have like gatherings every morning where you dance and play music and talk about something that was like biblical, but it was kind of entwined with like life reflections. You'd have breakfast all together and then go work together on the farm or at the cafe or like different things. You just always be with other people who were kind of thinking, meditating on similar kind of concepts, having similar struggles in life. So it's that like unifying aspect to living like that. When it was good, it was pretty satisfying.
For a while, so you've actually found what you hoped for.
Yeah. What do you think about Raygun,
The breakdancer
from the Olympics?
The one who did the rabbit dance, that's meant to be a kangaroo dance.
Kangaroo, yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it super interesting because she like is a good breakdancer. She went to this competition, the competition of the world, and did a shit dance. why would someone do that? She's a university academic on like culture and cultural practice. I read this article the other day that was saying maybe it was an act of rebellion trying to keep breakdancing in the streets.
Instead of at the Olympics pedaling for the masses.
For it to be like standardized internationally. Such an intriguing thing because it's really gone viral all around the world, the whole saga of why did Australia send such a shit dancer to the Olympics?
To the Olympics, yeah. But maybe it was all on purpose. Maybe she's secretly laughing. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna sacrifice myself to prove a point. Keep the breakdancing in the streets.
In the streets.
Yeah, in the streets, bro. Do you think there's a parallel between that and you doing pottery? Like you want to keep pottery in the sticks?
Keep it in the sticks.
Keep it in the sticks.
And intellectual conversations were encouraged.
Yeah, definitely. Almost like expected.
Which is very un-Australian sometimes, if you think about it.
I didn't talk about the footy for like 7 years.
Was there a specific moment when you realised that the cult wasn't what you thought it would be?
My friend there had a brain aneurysm and just like died in his sleep. I was already I was losing my satisfaction with living there, and then that happened, and then I was like just totally like, what is going on? Like
someone died.
Everyone was really shocked and sad, and then we kind of everyone just went back to work and got on with things and started talking about other things like quite soon after, what seemed like soon. And then I just couldn't like get over it. I was like, something has to change. Or so I guess in a way that was kind of somewhat of a catalyst for being like, I think it's time for me to go now. And then asked my sister if I could move in with her, and I just moved in with her and like started life again, which is kind of my style. Like I'm pretty into having all these restarts in life, but I imagine there's people who leave that aren't so confident with that kind of vulnerability. The culture there had drifted quite far from what I was initially drawn to. People like seemed happier, and then I think the leadership at some point started to like break down. The group became a bit chaotic through like how it was governed and stuff. Different people were becoming kind of like dissatisfied. People's individual feelings of dissatisfaction kind of rippled through. When I left, I just got surrounded by people and found a community pretty quickly. But I think after living in such a socially dense, supportive space for so long, if you don't find that social group that gets you after you leave, I think you can feel pretty empty. Luckily, I just found people who were like-minded and like super supportive.
Because a lot of people tend to think, oh, it's the money, it's because they gave away all their possessions, which happens right when you first join you.
Yeah.
Is it that you have to sell everything you own and give it to the community?
As soon as I got there, I was just like,
you just gave them like what, $20,000?
Yeah, you guys want my money, right? Here it is. I went to the bank and got it all out in cash. Here it is right here. And then they were like, okay, what do you think we should spend it on? And they saved like $1,000 in case I ever wanted to get my tattoos removed. And so then at one point I actually was like, yeah, I think I want to get my tattoos removed now. So we went to this tattoo parlor like 5 times and got laser on my tattoos.
Oh my god.
But then as soon as I left the community, I just went and bought a tattoo gun on eBay and put on like 10 times as many tattoos as what was taken off. So that was a waste of money. And then the rest they spent on funny. They bought a new like fireplace and a new dishwasher, like one of those industrial dishwashers for the kitchen. I wanted that kind of, make my money useful kind of thing.
What was it like in the 12 tribes? Did people use computers?
Yeah, for like practical purposes, like accounting. Or one of the ladies there who was my roommate, she was on the bottom bunk.
She was on the bottom bunk, you were on the top bunk.
We'd just like lay in bed every night and talk. I'd talk and she'd try to stay in the conversation. Eventually she just wouldn't answer.
Okay.
She had fallen asleep. She was running like the mate business called like Tribal Trading, and she like packs mate products and like ships them around. So she would use the computer. Yeah, there was like one computer at home that anyone could use and one at the deli. So we had access to like Google and stuff. This is how we turn the radio on these days.
Oh, with your phone? How disappointing. I thought you just like flick a button on here, but you have to actually connect it to
it does have that setting, but I think you need an aerial or something. I like listening to the radio.
When you're making ceramics?
Yeah, that's a new thing I've started doing, because I suddenly feel myself exposed to like stuff I wouldn't normally know about. I would never go and like just search the latest geological age that we've gone into kind of thing.
That's kind of cool.
What advice would you give to someone who is perhaps looking for a sense of belonging? What advice would you give to them?
So I guess just like not being ashamed of looking and being open and being honest about what you're interested in and what you're looking for.
It's interesting that you mentioned shame, because would you say that shame was a very predominant emotion that you felt before you joined the 12 tribes and while you were struggling?
Yeah, when I joined, I think I felt pretty ashamed about how I acted as a teenager. That's like something I carried for a while. I felt bad about how I treated like my parents and how I'd been like kind of a mean person, and I just held on to that for a long time.
So many of us spend our entire lives trying to get away from that feeling of shame.
I think the more stuff I did, the more kind of detached I felt. Yeah, looking back and looking at life now, I think being involved in stuff as a teenager like keep you engaged a lot. I just had nothing to do.
What is it about pottery making that attracted you?
I like how it kind of like amalgamates science with traditional craft, with self-expression, with activity. My brain is often quite active, I think, so if I don't keep active, my brain kind of takes over and I get like anxious and stuff. Once I discovered part-time work when I was a teenager, I just became like obsessed with it.
Why did you become obsessed with working?
Because I had a lot of energy. I could put my energy into doing something, and then I would get given this monetary
reward.
Kind of
Yeah.
And then with that reward, I could kind of make plans for it.
When you worked for the 12 tribes, that mentality never went away, even though the monetary gains went away.
Yeah.
How do you think that worked? Because you said the reason why you loved working so much was because you could get paid and then you make plans for the future. But what happened when you went to the 12 tribes, you weren't getting paid? Was it still enjoyable when that happened?
Yeah, I guess I saw rewards in other ways, like the better the deli was, like the service at the deli and that as a business and organism, the more I kind of got out of it. I just like had personal visions for it being like this like inter-social group meeting place where anyone could just come and we could have like music nights, and like I kind of wanted to make it the best place it could be.
Getting people to come together and establish a sense of community.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was for a good reason.
You had a cause. You're working towards a cause.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the main driving force behind what you do now as well? Do you think there's a cause behind what you're doing today as what would you call yourself, like a ceramicist or pottery maker?
Yeah.
What's the word that you prefer?
I say potter because it
Potter?
reminds me of Hogwarts and shit.
So as a potter today, what's your purpose now? Do you still find yourself kind of itching for that cause?
I love the pottery world because people who are into pottery are like obsessed. A couple of weeks ago we went out and visited this guy who I met at a pottery festival, who's like just lives in the sticks and is doing the whole process of like clay collecting and glaze making himself with like real old school simple machinery. He was so warm and he just like wants to pass on so much about the craft. Yeah, it's like a real warm community. It seems like there's infinite things to learn. Like the more you learn one thing, then you realize you need to learn all these things, and it's like someone can get to the end of their life as a potter and just like still have stuff to learn. And so there's always going to be, because it's like a traditional craft, there's always going to be people who are coming up in their journey of learning. And just like, I think the main way you find things out about the craft is through people.
It's like you're an alchemist. You have all the ingredients to, you know, create something.
That's a cool part of pottery.
Mini cone something.
This is where I keep all my cones. These are cones. They're like...
So what do?
They're
cones.
When you get to a certain like point in your firing,
okay,
they bend over. When this bends over, I'll be like, okay, all my clay is like set now. I can start turning off the kiln and like finishing the firing. And we just painted our bedroom.
Freaking love it.
I'm having a show in September of all cups. So
Okay.
these are what I've got so far. These are ones that I'm not sure about putting in. That one's half naked at the top.
Half naked in what sense?
It's
So that's not on purpose.
no. Does it look like it is? Because if it does, then
It
it is.
does.
Handles are generally kind of annoying and don't even like them that much.
Do you find that people prefer cups with handles, or do you think they actually prefer it this way?
I don't know. I don't know if people
What
really...
do they want?
I don't know if they care that much, and if they do, they can... There's like plenty of potters that make cups with handles, so that's fine. I like simple, and like all the things you can do with simple. So that spiderweb collection. This is just a spider web,
Okay.
and these are flies. Spiderweb.
Holy moly. And it's not fake either. This is not one of those spider webs you get for Halloween. It's like actual spider web.
So embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing, it's just funny.
This is a Hello Kitty mud wall
What's that?
that we made with Tom.
Oh, Chong, your other friend.
Yeah, he's obsessed with
Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty and mud.
What is that thing?
This is like a beanie.
A beanie on. You know what? When I first saw it, I was like, "Is that a skull?"
It's a lampshade I made out of paper mache, but since have replaced that lampshade.
Looked a bit like a skull when I first saw it. I was like, "Is that like a skull you just randomly
That's where
found?"
we keep our human skulls.
Well, I mean, you do have.
You're
a tank.
next.
So how long does it take for you to make a pot usually?
If it's a good day, one pot takes like 2 or 3 minutes maybe. But some days it just doesn't work. Everything goes wrong. Yeah. Some days I'm just too like forceful or not forceful enough. Usually it seems to be you have more problems from too much force than not enough force.
What was the happiest moment in your life up until this point?
Oh my god. The most strong emotions I've ever felt was probably when my dad came over to Nicaragua.
So when you were in Nicaragua traveling, how old were you back then?
18.
Yeah. And you just missed him when you finally
Yeah, I
came over?
missed home, and I think he kind of represented like home and familiarity.
What's your saddest memory that you can recall?
When I was 16. This one's easy. And I had pretty bad anorexia. And my mum, I was like not eating basically anything she cooked. So she bought this rainbow trout, this super healthy, lean fish to try and like get me to eat. Like cooked it and then served it to me at dinner time with the whole family there, like my 4 siblings and my dad. I just like got so like angry. I just picked the fish up and threw it at her. So rude. It was like so embarrassing and shameful. But thankfully we moved on from that time.
What was going on at the time?
I think not really having a clear like purpose, feeling quite inferior. I was considered quite a good student in primary school, and then I went to a different high school where I was like not. I guess I was like a high achiever with like not achieving much. You know, just lacking direction and purpose. Like I started getting my period again in the community. So I think being in the community helped me a lot with my body image and my health and mental health. Eating is like putting energy into your body so you can do stuff. I think a lot of it had to do with feeling like you deserve it. I reckon a lot of it would have to do with belonging.
Definitely. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.